It's only now in your 60s that you become an entrepreneur. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it kind of came by surprise, which I don't think happens to most entrepreneurs. I think I was a social entrepreneur for many years, developing new programs, sort of new innovative management development programs, but this came completely by surprise. Basically, my stepson, Phil, asked me how he could train his managers because they were sort of struggling a bit, and so I said, you know, we've been working on these programs for years, and you can sort of use some of this philosophy of, even if you don't have a budget, which he said, you can get some people around a table and just get them talking about management issues. And Phil took this very seriously, went through all the material in all these new programs we've developed, our International Masters in Practicing Management and all the others, and started to pull together topics. And he did 40 sessions with these guys. They loved it. They started spinning off other groups. It was almost like a nonprofit Amway. One group kept spinning off another group. And we're watching this in awe because I always felt that somehow we needed to get our teaching philosophy, our learning philosophy, to much larger groups of managers. We had a dean who was always pushing us to scale up, and I said, how can you scale up? It's a very personal thing. And Phil developed this idea of doing it in small groups, no faculty, no facilitators, no formal coaches, just do it yourself. So we watched this in awe for a couple of years doing this, and we said, this thing has got to be incorporated. So Phil and Sasha, my wife, and Jonathan Gosling has been involved with us, and myself, the four of us incorporated it, and we call it coachingourselves.com, and we're having a ball.
So it's interesting. I mean, I guess a typical entrepreneur puts a lot of money into it. You're not putting a lot of money, but you're putting a lot of time and energy. It's almost a thing where you really are passionate about it. You don't have to do it. It's not about money. It's not about, you know, you've accomplished a lot in your life. Where does that passion come from?
Well, there's a number of things. One is the joy of working both with my wife and my stepson in sort of creating a real family business, right? But the other is that we've been working for, you know, the IMPM, the master's program, started 13 years ago. And there was always this feeling of how do we expand it, how do we get more people to appreciate sort of the nature of how powerful this form of managers learning from their own experience. The whole philosophy in the programs has been managers learning from their own experience, and this carries it to its natural conclusion. Get rid of the faculty, just do it yourself. Download material from a website, and every week get together for about 75 minutes over lunch and just discuss these topics, whether it's about management styles, whether it's about management competencies, whether it's about the capacity to dialogue, negotiating skills, culture, whatever it is. We've developed about 20, 25 topics now. So it's the joy of watching something that an innovation, in quotes, that I'd like to have seen diffuse in this way through something that came from the family that I never would have expected.
What's family business? Is it a bit different than non-family business or big corporations? What do you find is different about family business?
Well, they joke about Sasha and I getting into little discussions where we're cutting each other off about what the best way to do things are. And it's perfectly friendly and happy, but I imagine these things sometimes, you know, as I know well, can sometimes blow apart, but actually the positive side of it is we're on the same wavelength, we think the same way about what we're trying to accomplish, and we're getting a hoot out of doing this. It's great fun.
Part of it is, I mean, you're working at times out of your house, you're working with your family. How do you maintain a sense of work-life balance, or that work and family life are separate? Have you managed to do that, or is that something you wrestle with?
No, because it's a really part-time thing from my point of view. My role has been largely to write topics. I've developed about 7 or 8 topics myself. And also my website brings in a fair amount of business just because people go on my website naturally and they see this mention, they click and they end up sort of becoming customers. And you know, when I get a chance to give a speech or give a topic or do a podcast or a TV thing with Karl Moore, whatever it is, we get a chance to talk it up.
Okay. As a management thinker, stepping back for a minute, what have you learned about the nature of business or management from kind of working in this at the coalface, as opposed to just talking to people and doing interviews? You're personally engaged, involved. What have you learned different about management?
Well, it may be early to tell, but But I think it reinforces a number of the things that I've been talking about for a long time that I keep pushing us and myself to do, which is I keep saying it's not just people are downloading this and using it. We've got to get out there and watch how they're using it and be close to them so we know what they're doing and how it's reacting and what the problems are they're running into, if they're running into problems, or what the positive side of it is, and so on. What's happening more and more, and it's absolutely fascinating to me, is that as these groups within companies are downloading these topics and discussing them, they're starting to use the topics as ways of changing their companies. So someone would download a topic on managerial styles or something, and then start to say, you know, we just need a better balance of styles in this company. We're much too analysis oriented, or we're much too art oriented, much too creative oriented. I haven't seen many companies like that, but anyway, and we need to balance the craft, the art, and the analysis or science. But companies are also addressing real issues. So we did, one topic we have is called silos and slabs in organizations. So everybody knows what silos are, the vertical separations. Slabs are the horizontal separations between different layers in the hierarchy. So this topic discusses silos and slabs and what the problems are and how you break through the silos and how you bust through the slabs and so on and so forth. So a bank in Canada used this topic to really advance their thinking about how we do this. And Sasha and I went in. Normally we don't do this personally, they do it on their own, but Sasha and I went in, and she worked with one group. There were 9 managers from the company. They split in 2 groups. I worked with one group, she worked with another group. They went through the topic and discussing it, and then the 2 groups got together and started sharing their learning and taking action steps as to what they were going to do next. So this becomes organization development. It's interesting. It's management development, but it feeds itself into organization development. It's great fun, this stuff.